I think that's what it is.
Repping the lines.
It becomes violence was supposed to so I had 3 o'clock.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Well, it's not like he's gonna.
Suit holding a lion.
But you saw, but he was dressed better than Paul. Yeah. Paul was sitting there with his little casual.
Yeah. So
Yeah, he was prepared for the moment.
no, we're getting 11:05, so there's no chance.
So,
That's why.
but he hasn't said anything to me about it. But I guess,
I'm just not.
I guess his contract's coming up. I know he likes it. I know he's from that area.
Listen, something big happens. Down about like 7 o'clock.
That's a nice little fly there. You know, prodigal son returns home though. Seems like smart like that.
Yeah.
I'm sure he would. I'm sure he would.
Yeah, because I mean, what's this?
Where I think this is where I grew up.
Yeah, no, they can show.
I like the stories.
They can promote
We
that
went to
stuff.
Michigan.
Okay.
He loves Paul. I love Paul. My wife would never let me move to Michigan, but I love Paul.
Yeah, well, you could have your second house like moved to Florida or something. Nah, right.
Our new people have a relationship with higher.
What's that?
Our new people.
What new people? Oh, I heard that you. God, she told me 5 hours.
I didn't know they had a press release.
Oh, did they? What did what
How much time you got?
Yeah.
Oh, they went back again?
Yeah,
so
Chauncey
bet.
was, I mean, Chauncey Billups was apparently
Poker game.
in on the poker ring, which featured all that high-tech stuff, like expert tables to read the cards. His job was to be a celebrity, to bring in marks, yeah. Yeah, to bring in marks to play the games.
when he was doing this recently?
Yeah.
Well, we haven't had a check.
Figure out the name for me.
That's where I was.
And the other ones were
TKR?
garden variety, somebody's not
Okay.
very nice,
Well,
but the under.
Maybe Jennifer, I don't recall.
I didn't hear that. Where did you see that? Sort of see this. That's
I mean,
we needed you because I did.
What was Rozier doing?
They said providing inside
No,
information.
I was
So
cheating.
probably,
I would-
that was
I'm
his
injured,
job.
I'm not gonna get pulled
Yeah.
later, so
That was
bet the
the
under.
really? He's a
Yeah.
little blind as an actor.
Little stuff like that.
I'm
Or
not
let's say,
gonna tell
yeah.
people I'm not gonna play today or whatever.
Right, or somebody else's was too late.
Yeah.
Hey.
He didn't like that. He couldn't wait for six.
Stuff like that. I mean, that's obviously.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, I said
Just or like his entire. He's a made man. No pun intended.
Clearly, yeah.
I came in one day.
You're like, I'll never appreciate that.
I've actually read that.
There's another really talented guy. You know, we get all this.
Water?
Every editor. Say, with courtesy of Jim Smith and Leonard Talent.
Tomorrow?
No, but on Saturday, you see, looking at the Friday.
I've seen this. I've seen for her courtesy.
On
On a regular
on
Friday.
regular Friday, he like 12:15. He potentially walked into it. That happened to me last week. I was standing outside talking to Jan.
It just takes up space on the screen.
It's a long word.
Yeah, you just.
Thank you. Reporter Mike 123. Reporter Mike, audio good. Coming in 123. Test, test, test. Reporter Mike. All right. Good.
Well, true, yes.
No, I'm asking.
Well, it's more just.
Historic arrest.
How much do you think Adele
I
had
saw
to tell us ratings yesterday?
No, no. But
Podium Mike, head coach Dan Quinn, Podium Mike, everybody good, happy with the levels.
Oh my God. I laughed out loud and realized.
Oh, thanks, man.
He did like
who they want.
Welcome to my dance under investigation era. Good deal. Thanks, Mike.
Not many give feedback.
Well, that's how they see it. You still see it.
Oh, really? Would they appreciate with that, or?
Did you look at Trey Johnson?
Initially, because,
Very
Jim
good.
was my folks out
Oh,
there.
he immediately passed the first test, which I called the investor,
Yeah.
Donnie Davis, Donnie Davis, going to look like I could play in this league test.
Tell me why they drafted you in the first
And
place.
he was very simple, very
Tell me
confident.
why they
You a
drafted
doctor in there?
Yeah.
John or Josh?
Oh,
Oh,
Don was fine, but that's day one.
John too.
That's day one. But he
Right.
did not. No, he was calm. I mean, he made shots and stuff.
I saw the box, but it's,
No, he-
some of the box doesn't tell the story.
No, he looked very confident doing it.
But if it was graphics and stuff? Yeah, if it's just ahead, like, what are they talking about? You don't know.
I don't care.
What's his? But at least you know when you look
His
up on the
season.
screen.
It makes so much sense.
Superstar?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Trent? Yeah.
I mean, I would probably say, all-star ceiling and then, maybe, but I don't know how realistic that even that is. I'm just,
Not game
Well, I'll put
changer,
this
it's not game changer.
I wouldn't say, no, not on a good team. I mean, if he's Jamal Murray, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And he's got a chance to be Jamal Murray. That would be pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, but Jamal Murray has never made an all-star team. As good
Really?
as he is, he's never been on an all-star team. Yeah, it's weird, but that's how good this league is. There's somebody that averages 23 a game, never has been an all-star team.
but if you said if Trey Johnson's career, he never made an all-star team, but he's the next Mike Conley, Jamal Murray. I think I'm taking that right.
But the problem is, where's the Jokic?
Sure.
That's the one, that's the thing that they just can't seem to get.
Right.
That guy.
And people say why in case something happened, but like,
Yeah, let's talk about it.
But like a base of Trey Johnson,
the other thing is we don't,
Alex Star, Poole Holly,
we're gonna be on the fact.
That's the problem.
I would-
plus superstar.
I would say
Yeah.
out of the group that they've drafted the last 3 years,
Wait, so where do you get?
Johnson and Keyshawn George are the two guys that have a chance to be above average. I don't think any of the others have.
Not Star, you don't think Star is?
I don't see it yet. Maybe he makes a jump. It's the second year. He can make a jump. He could. I haven't seen it yet.
I go off the internal shit that I hear, which I take with a grain of salt. The excitement over Star last year, at least inside the building, was high.
I mean, there's stuff that he can do that's intriguing. He's got great mobility for.
He'll have moments where it looks good.
I can't tell is Aaron Jackson Jr. or Brad Sellers.
He's better than Brett Sellers.
But I mean, like,
He's not as good as Jared Jackson Jr. So, I mean, again, if he became a defender like Jared Jackson is, great, take it now. But he ain't that.
He's gonna be like the defensive end, which is, I mean, that's,
Yes.
but my issue is like, he's gonna get more than, I know he had double-digit rebounds last night, but like, he's gonna get eight half rebounds.
That's what we don't know yet. Well, we don't know.
That's all we play. I haven't given him a lot of
He's way more
luck.
offense.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot more skill than Josh. But Gaff played hard. But Gaff didn't play hard all the time. He had to learn how to play hard. So that happens, it takes time. So I'm not giving up. I mean, the jury's out, but you clearly saw Keyshawn George do stuff that you went, that's real, what he just did. That's a real thing you can do, what the good teams do every night.
Made it.
Stop number 2.
No practice. It's good. Good.
Still don't understand. Even in their. Starting to line up as Keyshawn next to a center with a rebound.
So that's the whole point. By survive, you mean win games.
I mean, the fact that, oh, I know, I don't mean that, I just mean like, we functional.
That's what it be for.
At least
Get destroyed like they did last night.
obviously last night they won some rebounding battle, but Milwaukee has a weird lineup of Miles Turner is essentially an Alex Sarr type thing.
I don't think it mattered to Milwaukee because they were up by 20 after the first quarter.
I don't think I really cared about the rebound. No, I know. I was saying, like, I still believe you're going to lose the rebounding by like 10 plus every
Most,
night.
most nights probably go 20.
Our texting JP last night, I was like, if he could get the Wizards to cover the spread for the first 40 minutes of the game, and then don't cover it by the end.
I want to retire, I'm gonna mention that.
Right.
I actually think it's going to be more the opposite. Like they'll like be terrible. Like they make coverage in the end because the other team gives up right when the spreads in double figures.
We had cups in our cars.
I mean, they almost. I mean, they did so too, but they scored the first 10 points in the third quarter. They're folded 9.
Yeah, I mean, it was like,
Exactly.
they actually outscored in the last 3 quarters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, it was
Yeah.
20 at the afterwards, so it didn't matter.
Who were your picks, DA, for the finals?
OKC and
I'm sure I'm multiple years late on this, but the Manassas, the end of the game stuff was just
There's a third one.
hilarious.
yes, they just signed another.
There's a third one. There's a third one.
Another.
But the Manassas was won last night.
Yeah,
and we all have to be there nuts for him every time.
Sure. It's pretty funny. Like we need a game of the Anakumbo brothers against the James.
Somebody gave me the wrong amount of meetings.
Oh dear, people put up this blanket mass emails to trust everybody, so they're just like, that's what our guys.
Yeah.
Chris, remember we used to,
Is the other one.
Who's gonna say it?
2 ferns, what is it?
Oh my God.
I figured this was part of looking at everything, though.
No.
Not, it was like this when we got here, right?
All right, what's up, everybody? As as we're getting rolling, I've talked a lot about identity and how we haven't turned that corner on that, and that's so important for us to get that done. And it would be great to have Terry and Debo back practicing today. They are definitely a big part of that. But the nature of our game is fluid and always will be. But you know, who could be in the game, that could change. But what we do and how we do it, that cannot change, and that cannot be fluid. So everything this week, when I hit with the team, is focused on what we're doing, and probably even more important is to how we're doing it. And that's what we're going to dig into, and you know, as we get through the preparation. But what we're doing and how we're doing it, that's where I'm at, and that's what I wanted to get across to the guys, and that'll all in turn bring us back to identity and turning that corner on that, because we haven't yet.
Are you ready? So you said you're going to look at everything on defense. Will we see any changes on defense?
I think what you'll see is improved play. I think that's, you know, obvious that we want to dig in. So when we wanted to look and assess to where we needed to make changes and make adjustments, sometimes they're not these big overhauls, John, that make the major improvement. It's these small calibrations and adjustments, and so that is definitely underway. You know, as we get out to practice today, I'm looking forward to seeing the speed. We're trying to eliminate the hesitation, and we will do that.
And when you looked kind of as upset as we've seen you after a game the other day. So when you have a game like that, feeling like that, what do you do different this week? Did you dig into more of the defense than you normally would, or other side or other things than you normally would because of how that feeling?
Yeah, you wanted to dig in as hard as you can, and that's my job, to help solve problems and make sure we're playing like that identity like we like. So I absolutely did, to go back through in 7 games and find out, you know, what did we like, what do we need to do differently, what needed to change, and it was a good process to go through, but the result has to be, you know, on the field, and less hesitation which increases speed, which increases our ability to go run and hit, and that's the objective.
I know there's still plenty of season left, but you said after the game that you were surprised that the team is at this point. When you kind of look back, even back through training camp offseason, have there been any moments where you're like, yeah, maybe that led to this, or anything pivotal in your mind that you think kind of contributed to this?
I don't think there's one specific, Nikki, but what I do know, and in visiting with the players too, we felt off, and we wanted to make sure all of us, what did that look like? And it starts, number one, like, man, let's throw a hell of a practice, to go. And when we did talk about from last year to this, what were differences and expectations and those kind of things, but at the end of it, like, it still comes down to, like, the practice, the work, the going for it. And so that's what I know works, and make sure we can all do that together. And so that's where they're at, I'm at, and so the frustration and anger and all those things can turn into the good once you allow all that to work for you in a good way. And otherwise you can feel tight, and when you're tight, you don't just play as fast and as aggressive as you need to. And I want to eliminate that tight. I was talking about earlier about a hesitation, like a misstep. I think all of those things, when you're tighter and one drop pass feels like the game's over, or, a miss here, and that's not it. It's into the next play, into the next moment, and we'll capture that.
When you say that, is that more related to scheme, game day operations, personnel?
I think I'm just relating it to, like, the whole, performance that we've had. So I wouldn't say just game day. I think going into it, I'm looking for everything to level up. And we've got an excellent crew together, and we count on one another to get that done. And we haven't turned that corner on our identity of how we need to. And so that's why it is so important to get that done.
Dan, in terms of getting more speed on the field, is that directly correlated to whatever guys are just picking stuff up quicker, recognizing things quicker, all the eye discipline, all the stuff you've been talking about the last couple of weeks, and whoever those guys are, those are the guys who are going to play?
Partially, and here's the reason. Dave, I wanted to go through and look at the calls to say what calls are causing some hesitation because it's expensive, this one to this. And so if we could eliminate some of those calls, I think that would allow as a unit for us to play faster. And so I agree, I haven't seen the speed that I've wanted, but I know we have speed. So the part of that to say, okay, how can we feature some things that we can absolutely go and less hesitation, less misstep, and eliminate that what could happen, and really allow us to play more free. And so that's what I tried to dig in as hard as I could. And now we have to go apply it.
And if I could ask you a completely unrelated to your football team question.
Sure.
There's a bit of an investigation going on in the league that I cover a lot in the NBA.
Okay. Yeah.
And
that is.
I was wondering, like, once the season begins and you've got a million things on your plate, how do you kind of reiterate, reinforce, here are the things we cannot do, here are the things, the associations you cannot have as the season goes on?
Yeah. You want to be able to apply any lessons that you can whenever that you can. And the league does an excellent job of outlining this. But I do think it's important, whether it's another league, another team, when things come up, that you can take the minute. We have it. Take the minute. Is there a lesson that can apply to any of us? And that's what we do. And sometimes it's in the sport, sometimes it's in life, where it's away from the sport. But it is important. The league does a very good job at the start, but I think anytime you get a chance to reinforce things that could mean a lot, that's a big deal.
Dan, it was reported yesterday that Jaden is not going to play this week due to his hamstring injury. I guess, could you confirm that? And then just with his injury moving forward, is there any long-term concern with, that hamstring?
Yep, he is. That is confirmed. Like, he will be out this week, and Marcus will start. I'd said, I think, it was Monday, I'm getting my days mixed up, but we knew it wasn't going to be significant, meaning long, but also not well enough to say, okay, in 6 days, it's ready to go based on speed and how you would, handle this type of injury. So all of the week will be focused for him on the rehab in hopes of the following week. And so I'll assess that next week, but as opposed to some practice, some not, just put all of it, all the time and effort into that.
And with Jaden, I know it's been different injuries, different legs, not necessarily related to one another, but is there anything that you think you guys can learn from his injury so far, or does it just kind of feel like a nature of having bad luck so far?
From the first one, we tried to learn quite a bit to make sure there couldn't be a specific hit that could be avoided. When you're outside the pocket, when can you remain a passer? When can you run? And so that's true for any quarterback that has the ability to scramble and turn plays into big ones. We're facing one this Monday night, similar in that way, to extend plays and when to remain a passer, when he runs. And so that was the big lesson and takeaway for me on that. And so not related to the hamstring, but I was pleased to see, some lessons being learned for that.
You talked about having conversations with players, and I assume we're talking about kind of on the defensive side of the ball. What was their feedback to you for why they felt off? And was it just kind of the hesitation that you're talking about, or was it other things?
It wasn't just that. I do ask the players a lot, is there any call that you don't like that's too, costs too much, meaning like this check, this check, this check. And if we can eliminate any of those, I'm for that. And so that is how I communicate very directly to somebody. And sometimes it's, I understand, but we still need to do X, Y, and Z in that. Or it's expensive, but we still need to do it. The other part is about, we're going to really go compete against one another. And that's what I'm looking forward to, getting rolling with the guys. Full week to get rolling. Getting one another ready, that's a big part of it too. And so I'm looking forward to having a full crew here, with the exception of Jaden, having some matchups. There'll be some just good on good battling to go and sharpen ourselves up, and I'm looking forward to that too.
As you guys are going through some adversity, Kansas City on deck, how important is this window to you, maybe to see how your guys respond?
Yeah, you want to see momentum for sure, about how you play. And so when you make some changes, even if they're small, you want to see how are they being applied, how are they being used to gain that momentum shift that you're looking for. So, all of that matters, but I want to see that applied onto the field.
Coach, in relation to getting beyond the anger and frustration, and as you said, getting back to and finding that identity, as a leader of men in that locker room, how do you communicate and hammer that home to the players?
We discuss it, like one thing that's awesome about being a part of this team, like there are some excellent leaders, as a part of this group, and some really smart people. And so I wanted to say first, hey man, these are the things that I'm seeing. It felt off, and like before we ever got on to Kansas City, to say, let's talk about us and things that we can do better and how can we play faster. And I love getting players' insights because they're able to share things from the view of the helmet. They're able to share things from them competing against one another that's different than coaching. And if you don't listen to that, man, you're missing it, about the guys who are directly in the fight. And we've got a lot of excellent leaders, so I absolutely have leaned in on them hard to find out those adjustments, calibrations. It's not this major overhaul, but things that, even though it seems small, can have major dividends.
For yourself, on the headsets, on game days, kind of in the heat of it, do you rely more on kind of the work that you do leading up to the game versus how much input you have as plays are being called or as the games go on, in terms of what's being communicated out to the players on the field?
Yeah, for sure. Most of it from the week. So much of it also can be related to are we going for it? Are we not? Are we punting? Is it field goal? Is it going for it on fourth down? So on the offensive side, it's mostly that. With Larry, it's usually in between calls about, what happened, what we would do. And I communicate with him when's punting, when's field goal. Defensively, obviously I've been in more of that to hear the call, to know what could be, said and done at that time. So it's a little bit different by the phase, but all of it involves the prep work for sure.
Obviously, injuries are part of things you guys have to fret about, but when they happen at one position like they do with defensive end, it sort of changes the landscape of what you're looking to do. Is it fair to say that, like, you may have to do things differently at that position simply because of what's available versus, hey, we're going to keep doing our thing and just plug and play somebody else in there?
Yeah, it's a great question. And, you know, for Dorrance and DYs, like, these are heavy hitters for us, and specific to how they play, not the same, run, edge setting, pass rushing to go. So, yeah, when that new opportunity comes for somebody, it won't be featured in exactly the same way. You're right, Ben. So that's part of the adjustment to say, how do we do it, you know, differently? It's not just plug and play. And so that opportunity for that next person, how do they put their own flavor on it? Won't be the next Dorrance or the next DYs. It'll be done a little bit differently. And it might not be all with one person. You know, you split that up and then it works its way through, but it is part of it. And you always are kind of thinking of the contingency plans to go do that. And when they come up, you adjust. And, but yeah, for those two in specific, yeah, it's a bummer because they brought a lot on and off. And it's been great having Wise back into here. He can even make an impact, you know, while he's doing some of the rehab with the players, because it's sometimes not losing just the player. It's also the teammate and the man. You know, that goes along with it.
Hey, Coach. You said that you've really looked through these last 7 weeks and everything.
Yes.
So when looking through there, have you seen where maybe some things need to be scaled back, simplified, particularly on defense? What are you seeing as far as that process?
Yeah, I wanted to go through and to find out what calls that could change, Donna, to say, is the juice worth the squeeze on a certain call to make, if there was an explosive play or putting someone into a better spot, that's our job, you know, to put those guys in those spots. So yes, that's exactly what we looked at to find what could change, what could look different, what do we have to have. This one, we thought it was going to be part of what we did, you know, now we're not going to add that for a while. So some of that condensing is help, all of it geared for us to play faster and to play better. And so it's not the takeout just to take out, it's the specifics to say, not more, let's make sure we do what we do better. And so that's the goal.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
All right, you're welcome.
It's only what